This is Japan's most dangerous boys' high school, where every student is extremely fierce. For 100 years, not a single female teacher has applied here, and even male teachers would quit after being beaten up by the students. But now, this record is about to be broken because she is coming. Kumiko, the leader of Japan's most dangerous mafia gang, the Edo Group. However, the students don't know this. They were very excited when they heard a female teacher was coming, but when Kumiko entered the classroom, their faces fell. They expected a sexy teacher in a short skirt, but standing before them was a local anti-type with double ponytails and a tracksuit. The boys started mocking her, but Ju Meizi didn't get angry because she had already heard from the principal that this class was the most unruly. Just then, a fat boy, Xiaopeng, suddenly climbed onto the stage and tried to intimidate Ju Meizi. Instead of being scared, she was laughing inside but kept up her teacher act. Then, the class leader, Ah Shen, entered. To understand the students, Ju Meizi gave them a survey form, but the students mocked it, turning the papers into paper planes and balls and throwing them at her. One student even threw a glass marble straight at her, but she caught it without even looking. The students were stunned, but Ju Meizi acted like it was just a coincidence. After leaving school, as soon as Ju Meizi reached home, two members of her mafia gang welcomed her. When they found out she was being insulted by the students, they trembled with anger. One thug pulled out a big weapon from his pocket and said he would teach the students a lesson. Another thug, wearing a formal suit, stopped him, saying they were just kids and shouldn't be treated like that. But then he pulled out a 40-meter-long sword and said if they had to do something, they should use this. Ju Meizi slapped them hard and warned that if the school found out about her mafia connections, she'd be fired immediately. Just then, her grandfather arrived and said drawing police attention would be foolish. Despite her strength, Ju Meizi had one weakness, a lawyer named Xiao Yuan, whom she had liked for a long time. When Xiao Yuan came to visit, she became completely shy. As soon as the lawyer left, her gang members imitated her, which made her beat them up. The next morning, Ju Meizi arrived at school and saw Xiaopeng standing quietly in a corner. When she asked him what was wrong, he didn't answer and ran away. During break time, the teachers discussed rumors that a dangerous ex-student might have returned for revenge. This reminded Ju Meizi of Xiaopeng's strange behavior, and she went to find him. Xiaopeng was indeed in trouble. Three delinquents were attacking him. Ju Meizi pretended she was just passing by to avoid suspicion that Xiaopeng had informed her. The delinquent's boss tried to grab Ju Meizi from behind, but before he could, Xiaopeng jumped in to save her, only to get punched hard and knocked out. Meanwhile, Ashen heard the news that Xiaopeng had been captured and rushed to the school. Ju Meizi checked Xiaopeng's body and saw he wasn't completely unconscious, so she suddenly leaped up and took down all three delinquents. She dodged the first one's punch, knocked out the second with a single hit, and punched the third twice to bring him down. When Ashen and his friends arrived, the three delinquents were already beaten up. The students were confused about who had done this until a dog, Dogzi, appeared, and they wondered if the dog had attacked them, but Ashen suspected it was Ju Meizi's doing. The next day, chaos erupted in the school. Students were fighting each other, and instead of stopping them, Ju Meizi cheered them on. The students were shocked that a teacher would behave like this. But when one boy pulled out a weapon, Ju Meizi immediately intervened and confiscated it. Ashen's suspicion grew, and he told Xiaopeng to attack the teacher to test her reaction. Xiaopeng refused at first because Ju Meizi had saved him, but when Ashen reminded him that she had dodged the glass marble, Xiaopeng agreed. Ju Meizi could feel the attack coming from behind, but deliberately didn't avoid it to avoid suspicion. The next day, an important teacher evaluation was scheduled, with many teachers attending. Ju Meizi asked the students to behave, but Ashen started plotting something new. Ju Meizi wanted everyone to return to the classroom, but all the students were looking at Ashen. She immediately realized this was his plan. Ashen set a condition. If Ju Meizi fought him one-on-one, the students would go back. The principal tried to delay, but Ju Meizi had no choice but to accept his challenge. The class finally ended peacefully, but Ju Meizi couldn't understand why Ashen was acting this way. His academic record was excellent. Was there another reason? After school, Ashen and his friends had already picked a spot by the riverbank. A fight between a teacher and a student? It was strange, but Ashen acted like it was normal. Some friends asked why Ju Meizi had accepted the challenge. She simply said, "If I said yes, I can't back down now." Ashen was impressed that she kept her word. Just as the fight was about to start, Ju Meizi pulled out a choir group poster and said, "If you have so much energy, use it for something productive." Ashen got irritated and raised his hand to punch her, but suddenly, a sharp whistle sounded. Ju Meizi saw the police arriving, and Ashen panicked and ran away. The students were shocked that their teacher was fleeing without thinking. Outside school, Ju Meizi wasn't just a simple teacher. She was also the leader of a Japanese Yakuza gang. Her gang members, A-Song and Gusi, had been wandering around at night and were arrested as robbery suspects. Ju Meizi quickly planned to assemble her gang, but as she reached the gate, Jin-Gei stopped her. A-Song and Gusi had already been released due to lack of evidence. But Ju Meizi had another hidden side. She turned into a complete fangirl whenever she saw lawyer Xiao Yuan. A-Song and A-Tai would tease her about it. The next morning, a shocking scene greeted her at the school gate. Pictures of a robbery suspect were plastered everywhere. Jumazy was confused, but another teacher angrily shouted, "This is indirectly accusing our students." Jumazy corrected him, "This isn't indirect, it's a direct accusation." The principal showed her a newspaper claiming the suspect looked young. Could it be one of their students? The other teachers immediately denied it, but when Jumazy opened her classroom door, she saw her student Tianye counting money from a fat wallet, saying, "Today's party is on me." Jumazy tensed up. She took the wallet and questioned Tianye, who casually replied, "It's my sister's. It ended up in the wrong pocket by mistake." Jumazy felt awkward but warned him, "Whether it's your sister's or someone else's, you shouldn't take it without permission." Tianye thought she was accusing him of theft, and the other students were upset at being blamed unfairly. Panto even said, "Even if we were thieves, we wouldn't steal from the elderly." Jumazy felt their frustration and sincerely apologized, settling the matter. But the students decided to solve the case themselves to avoid future blame. Panto and his friends planned to catch the thief, but were arrested by the police before they could start. They had no choice but to call Ashun and Jumazy. When Jumazy arrived at the station, her expression was terrifying. If there was no valid reason, everyone was going to get beaten up. Panto explained the situation, and Jumazy calmed down a bit, but the police were convinced the students were the thieves. An officer said, "If you don't control them, the school's reputation will be ruined." Jumazy exploded in anger. She punched the table hard, but Ashun and another student pulled her back since they were in a police station. The police were confused by her reaction. With no evidence, the students were released. Outside, Jumazy said, "There's only one way left, catch the real thief ourselves." Jumazy went to a famous nightclub, Kanghui nightclub, and asked a friend for help. It seemed she had a dangerous plan. The other students were discussing it. Panto casually said, "I think she's going to use a beauty trap." And just as he said that, Jumazy appeared in a new look, golden hair, heavy makeup, and a bold outfit. The students were shocked, their expressions clearly saying this plan wasn't going to work. But Jumazy was confident. In a small alley, Jumazy walked intentionally, exaggerating her hip movements with a confident expression, as if on a mission. But instead of the strong thief, she encountered a shady bald uncle. She ignored him, but then a woman's scream was heard. Jumazy and Guzi ran and saw a thug trying to snatch a woman's purse. The thief saw them and fled on a bicycle. Jumazy chased him, and Guzi took a shortcut. Before the thief could get far, Guzi delivered a flying kick, sending him crashing to the ground. Jumazy caught him, and when his mask was removed, it wasn't a young boy. The next day, the principal saw the newspaper and was emotional. For the first time, the school's name was in the paper for a positive reason. Before this, the school was infamous across Japan. The students and teachers were happy the accusations were cleared, but when they read the paper, a new twist surprised them. At the bottom was Fatty's photo. He had secretly taken all the credit. His friends were going to beat him up for that. Nine's sister, who was actually a gang leader but had a passion for teaching, once appeared in her real boss look. When her students saw her, she quickly acted normal. Fatty didn't understand, but Ashen noticed. Back at school, Ashen remembered old clues and decided he would uncover the truth about Nine's sister. Nine's sister wasn't just a teacher, she was also a masked hero who helped weak students. But this time, Ashen recognized her. Nine's sister ran away but crashed into the principal and quickly made an excuse to leave. After school, as Ashen and Fatty were walking home, they saw some thugs on the street. Scared, they took a different route. Then they saw their teacher, Nine's sister, climbing a wall and jumping straight into the thug's car. Ashen and Fatty were stunned. Ashen decided to follow her and see who she really was. The car stopped near a hospital. It turned out Nine's sister was trying to stop her grandfather from being discharged. Her grandfather was worried that if the school found out about her gang connections, she'd be fired. After much convincing, he agreed, but Ashen and Fatty, watching from afar, thought Nine's sister was involved in some black business. Ashen and Fatty secretly followed Nine's sister to a place labeled Edo Group, the name of a famous gangster group in Japan. Fatty was terrified and said he wanted nothing to do with this, but Ashen sneaked in. A thug named Doggy spotted them and recognized them as Nine's sister's students. He told them to run, but by then, Nine's sister's gang members had caught them and dragged them inside. Nine's sister was shocked and worried her secret would be exposed, but the gang members thought Ashen and Fatty were big shots from another gang and tried to intimidate them. Poor Fatty was so scared he wet his pants. Then Nine's sister arrived, and Fatty thought she was his savior. She was about to tell the truth when a gang member yelled that she owed him money and attacked her. It was all an act. Nine's sister thought no one would believe such bad acting, but Fatty immediately fell for it and begged for her life. The gang members enjoyed the drama and let them go. As Fatty went to get the car, Ashen told Nine's sister he knew everything, her being a gang leader, her secret life, and her hero role. Nine's sister thought only one person knew her secret, but she decided to trust Ashen. Fatty returned with the bike and they left. That night, Nine's sister returned home to find her gang members punishing her. Doggy was so emotional he kept crying. Nine's sister didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The next day at school, Ashen was waiting for Nine's sister. He asked why she chose to be a teacher when she was a gang leader. Nine's sister told him about two gang members who couldn't get into school because of their scary faces. Her childhood dream was to be a teacher teacher who judged people by talent, not looks. Ah-shin promised not to tell anyone and said school would be boring without her. Nine Sister smiled. From a distance, Doggy, who had been listening, lowered the hammer he had brought to silence her. Then Nine Sister saw Fatty and his friends eating breakfast in a corner. When she approached, they teased her because her stomach was growling. Fatty secretly gave her a bun he had saved for her. Nine Sister realized he thought she was poor and starving because of debts. She took the bun but felt guilty and happy for her sweet students. One night, Ah-shin sneaked into Nine Sister's room. As soon as she woke up, she grabbed him and scolded him. She was about to yell when another teacher, Fujiyama, saw them. Jokingly, he said, "Wow, you youngsters can do anything." Then he left a smoke, saying, "1 hour is enough, right?" Hidden nearby, Fatty and his friends were talking. When Nine Sister interrogated them, she found out they were planning a new adventure. The school's annual spring trip was coming, and it always ended in chaos. Nine Sister and Fujiyama were excited, but another teacher pointed out that no trip had ever ended without problems. Students fighting, getting arrested, or destroying hotels. Nine Sister decided the trip would only be 1 day, which the students didn't like, but they planned to sneak away during the trip. Nine Sister didn't know, but from afar, Doggy bid her farewell, hoping her trip would be safe. On the trip, before reaching the next stop, the students' plan to get off the bus was cancelled. The teachers didn't understand why until a group of beautiful girls appeared outside, and they quickly drove away. The students screamed in excitement, demanding to stop, and some were so desperate their faces literally stuck to the bus windows. If the teachers hadn't reacted fast, things would have gotten out of control. The students protested, but they were ignored, so they started planning a rebellion. At the next stop, some students ran away and challenged teacher Jumei. She fell for their trick and chased them with all her strength, but the students got smarter. They split up. Jumei had to chase and catch each one. Her patience was running out. One student, Tang-tu, crashed into teacher Fujiyama and was caught immediately. By the time Jumei arrived, Tang-tu was almost unconscious. At night, the teachers kept watch to prevent mischief, but Jumei was so tired she fell asleep on duty. Taking advantage, Ah-shin and his friends sneaked out. His real plan was to tire the teachers out so they could enjoy the night without interference. But things went wrong. Tang-tu, with his overconfidence and flirting habit, ran into a local gang. The gang taught him a lesson, and in the chaos, everyone got separated. Tang-tu disappeared, and his calls went unanswered. Jumei and Ah-shin searched for him and reached the place where he was last seen. The gang members were still there. Jumei tried to talk calmly, but when they got aggressive, she decided to take them down physically. The gang members backed off as her anger peaked. They finally confessed Tang-tu had run away. In the cold, without a coat, Jumei started shivering. Ah-shin threw his coat at her, surprising her. They teased each other but still had to find Tang-tu. Talking to another gang, Jumei learned Tang-tu had been captured by them. She convinced them to help rescue him. When they reached the gang's base, the leader Guang-tu and his team surrounded them. Then a boy, Huang Fa, stepped forward to protect Jumei, saying a girl shouldn't fight in such a place. But Jumei's confidence was sky high. Her energy made it seem like a dragon was about to devour a mouse. When Guang-tu saw her power, he fled without a fight. But when they found Tang-tu, another twist came. It wasn't him. Jumei had worked hard to rescue the wrong person. However, this impressed the gang, and they agreed to help find the real Tang-tu. Jumei drew a sketch of Tang-tu, but it was so bad everyone was confused. Surprisingly, Huang Fa's gang found the real Tang-tu wandering aimlessly on the street. Jumei and Tang-tu ran toward each other like an emotional reunion. But on closer look, Tang-tu's face was swollen like a pig's head. After the trip, everyone was happy to return safely. Jumei brought souvenirs for all, though they were weird in size and shape. But the gifts made the trip's ending happy. Back at school, the drama didn't end. A new rival, Haetian, was about to fight a student, Anan. Haetian was a strong karate expert, and Anan was nervous. The students encouraged him, but things got worse when Anan punched Haetian with full power, and Haetian didn't even flinch. Anan thought the only way to win was drunken boxing. He took a sip from a mystery bottle and made dramatic moves. Haetian thought it was an act, but when Anan attacked again, Haetian just looked confused and walked away. But when Anan's friends teased him, saying Anan had called him ugly seagull eyebrows, Haetian got furious and returned to fight. During the fight, Jumei quietly observed. When Haetian launched his final attack, she noticed he had deliberately held back. She realized Haetian wasn't as bad as he seemed. During the cultural festival, Harada was working hard to make fried noodles when he received a challenge letter from Chubby and his friends. Angry, everyone rushed out to fight. Harada's noodles fell in the chaos, upsetting him. Then Goko passed by and decided to taste Harada's noodles. He ate them without hesitation and liked the taste, making Harada happy. From afar, Kumeshi watched and was convinced Harada had a good heart. When Harada reached the spot, he saw his noodles scattered and felt bad. As he bent to pick them up, he fell into a deep pit. Chubby and his friends had planned this trap. Kumeshi saw everything and had his own thoughts. Later, he pulled Harada out, but by then, everyone had fled or was chasing someone. Kumeshi challenged Harada to a fight, saying he'd use only 2 fingers. Harada refused at first, saying he didn't fight girls, but Kumeshi Kyumeishi provoked him, calling him useless and ugly. Angry, Harada fought with all his strength, but Kyumeishi easily dodged. Finally, Harada ended up under Kyumeishi's feet and she stuck 2 fingers up his nose, proving strength wasn't everything. Technique mattered. Harada's fried noodles stall became unexpectedly popular, and Goko ate so much he could barely walk. Meanwhile, Kyumeishi's student Ashin, the school's most popular male host, was forced to have dinner with the principal. The biggest surprise was Harada, who just wanted to be a simple chef, becoming the most famous male host. Everyone was shocked, and the festival took a weird turn. Recently, students were being attacked by a new gang after school. The gang wore cat-faced masks. Not just Kyumeishi's class, but many students were targeted. Chubby and his friends found out but hid it from Kyumeishi. The gang sold special Maneki Neko badges. Those who wore them weren't attacked, but the badges were too expensive for most. Soon, the badges became common in school, catching Kyumeishi's attention. When she talked to the teachers, she learned the badges were a trend and very expensive. The teachers believed a dangerous gang was behind it, but Kyumeishi told everyone to stay calm and secretly investigated. Only one student, Ashin, knew Kyumeishi's true identity. She asked him to find out who was selling the badges. Ashin said they were being sold near a train station. This area belonged to Kyumeishi's uncle, Tenkaizu. Worried, she decided to confront her uncle directly. The next day, Kyumeishi and Goko secretly went to Tenkaizu's area. Her uncle confirmed the badge business wasn't his doing and supported her investigation but warned her to be careful. As they left, the school's discipline headmaster saw them. This was a big problem. If her secret was exposed, her position at school would be at risk. Kyumeishi continued investigating near the train station but found no leads. As she sat thinking, Ashin appeared. He said the gang wouldn't show up unless a customer contacted them directly. Kyumeishi was tense. Ashin suggested pretending to be a customer. At first, Kyumeishi refused, but with no other option, she agreed. Finally, when they contacted a gang member, Kyumeishi told Ashin, "Stop here. You can't go further." Jumei warned Ashin to stay away because it was too dangerous. She would handle the rest. Meanwhile, at the Cat Lotus gang's headquarters, a man removed his mask. It was Gongteng, who had been beaten by Jumei before. It turned out this was all his plan. Suddenly, a door opened and Jumei reached their hiding spot. The gang didn't recognize her, but Gongteng did. Without hesitation, she started punching everyone, saying she wouldn't forgive them. Meanwhile, a thug brought Ah Shun, who had been kidnapped. Gongteng recognized him and said he'd show him real pain. The thug who had beaten Jumei earlier became even more vicious, punching her face as Gongteng attacked her too. Ah Shun tried to save her but was kicked hard. Just as a thug was about to hit Ah Shun with a rod, a strong hand stopped it. It was Jumei's trusted man, Ati. Atai's arrival changed everything. Tianhai Bazurg had sent him and his team after noticing something wrong. Ati had seen Guzi wandering and followed him to Jumei. When Ati and his team saw Jumei bleeding, they were furious. To them, Jumei wasn't just their leader but also their little miss. Gongteng's men pointed at him, saying he had hit Jumei. Realizing the situation, Gongteng decided to flee but first guaranteed his men wouldn't harass students again. Jumei took Ashin home and scolded him for getting into trouble. The next day, she entered class with a plaster on her face, and the students teased her. Then she noticed Ashin's seat was empty. He hadn't come to school. Worried, she asked the principal, who showed her Ashin's withdrawal form. His father had submitted it personally, but gave no reason. Jumei was shocked. She asked the principal to delay the withdrawal so she could talk to Ashin. She remembered scolding him yesterday, but Ashin didn't seem like the type to quit school so easily. When the students heard, they were upset too. Chubby and the others said they'd visit Ashin's house. Chubby revealed Ashin's father was a powerful man who treated him harshly. A year ago, when Ashin hit a teacher, no good school would accept him, and he had resented his father since. When Jumei and the students reached Ashin's house, they saw it was a grand mansion. The students were scared of his father and hesitated to knock. Chubby then revealed Ashin's father was a high-ranking police officer, and Jumei's almost turned back. Just then, a tall man bumped into her. It was Ashin's father. He immediately recognized them as white gold school students and coldly told them to leave. Jumei said she was his teacher and just wanted to talk. After much pleading, she got 5 minutes. Ashin was locked inside. He had given up and was obeying his father. Jumei gave him a test paper, saying he had to solve it. No matter what, he was still her student. Ashin then shared that his older brother had left to pursue his own dreams, leaving him to fulfill their father's expectations. Angry, Jumei told him to find his own path if he was a real man. Her words stuck with him. Later, she told the students about Ashin's situation. They were furious and planned to bring him back, but Jumei stopped them. His father was a police officer, and they'd face serious consequences. The students argued that Ashin would have helped them, so they made a plan despite the risks. At home, Jumei was thinking when her men arrived. The students had been arrested. She rushed to the station and scolded them. Then Chubby pulled out the test Jumei had given Ashin. He had completed it sincerely. This showed he had made his decision. Now, Jumei decided to save Ashin herself, but her men stopped her, warning that if the plan failed, her teacher identity would be exposed. Ignoring the risks, Jumei set out to rescue Ah Shun. The biggest gangster in Jianghu was about to leave after making a bold statement when Ah Shun confronted him. He expressed his hatred for his father's abuse of power and knelt before him, begging to be allowed to graduate. The gangster father was shocked. To him, this school was just for delinquents. But Ah Shun said the school and teacher Jumeizi meant everything to him. It wasn't just about studies but friendship and a new life. For the first time, his father saw him as mature. After his father left, everyone realized the decision was already made. Ah Shun apologized to Jumeizi for causing her trouble. She gave him another test paper and felt strange as he left. But before things could settle, a bigger problem arose. Jumeizi's true identity was exposed. The principal secretly took her photo as she visited a mafia hideout. Her gang members wanted to disappear the principal, but Jumeizi refused. She knew the truth couldn't stay hidden forever. Meanwhile, a shady man, Gongteng, was watching. A bigger conspiracy was at play. The next day, the principal showed proof to the school trustees, who wanted to shut the school down. But Jumeizi had already submitted her resignation. She had outsmarted them. When the news spread, the students rushed to her, demanding an explanation. She simply said her decision was final. They couldn't believe their favorite teacher was leaving. To distance them emotionally, Jumeizi deliberately angered them. Finally, the students snapped. Anan was the first to attack her, but she knocked him down in a second. The other students joined the fight. Jumeizi fought back, but her heart ached. Her students saw her true power for the first time. After the fight, their trust was broken. They felt she was just like the other teachers. As Jumeizi left the school, Gongteng blocked her path. She wanted nothing to do with him. When he threatened her, she slammed his head into a wall without warning. But the fight didn't last. Jumeizi suddenly collapsed, unconscious. Gongteng and his men took her away. A boy, Xiaopeng, saw this and told Ah Shun, who immediately set out to rescue her. Xiaopeng warned him it was suicide to go alone, so they planned to get help from the Edo gang. Xiaopeng was scared. Last time, he'd suffered badly. Meanwhile, Ah Shun sneaked into the warehouse where Jumeizi was held. As he attacked an old guard, the guard easily threw him aside. Ah Shun couldn't understand how the guard was so strong. At school, when Xiaopeng told the class Jumeizi had been kidnapped, they didn't react. They said they didn't care about her anymore. She had broken their trust. Frustrated, Xiaopeng left. Meanwhile, the Catbone gang's boss was shocked by Gongteng's plan. He felt they had invited their doom by targeting the Edo boss, the king of Japan's underworld. Inside the warehouse, Ah Shun finally defeated the guard and tried to carry Jumeizi out, but he was exhausted and she was still unconscious. Suddenly, she muttered, "Xiao Yuan lawyer," irritating Ah Shun further. Then Gongteng and his men surrounded them. It seemed hopeless, but suddenly, the school students arrived, armed and attacking the gang. Jumeizi was shocked. The Catbone boss tried to flee, but the Edo boss was already there. He declared the Catbone gang's end. Meanwhile, the principal, who had conspired against Jumeizi, was taught a lesson by a student, Dogzi, wielding a big hammer. Finally, the students and Jumeizi won. When lawyer Xiao Yuan arrived to check on Jumeizi, Ah Shun got angrier and left after saying something to the lawyer. Jumeizi's grandfather watched from afar, happy she had truly become a teacher. Everyone returned to school, and Jumeizi resumed her life as a normal teacher with her students. If you liked this anime, subscribe to the channel and like the video.